Sex jokes, sexual jokes. Q. What did the hurricane say to the coconut palm tree? A. Hold on to your nuts, this is no ordinary blowjob. Q. What's a condom and a coffin got in common? A. They both hold stiffs but one is cumin and one is going. Q. When is a man most intelligent, before, after or during sex? A. During sex cause he's plugged up to the knowledge source equal. Sex is like a misdemeanor, the more I miss it, demeanor I get. Q. Why do women like to have sex with the lights off? A. They can't stand to see a man have a good time. Sex is like math. Add a bed, subtract the clothes, divide the legs, and pray you don't multiply. Q. How do you know if you have a high sperm count? A. If she has to chew before she can swallow. Q. Two potatoes are standing on a corner, how can you tell which one is a prostitute? A. The one that says Idaho. Q. What did the penis say to the condom? A. Cover me, I am going in. A redhead tells her blonde stepsister, I slept with a Brazilian. The blonde replies, oh my god. You slut. How many is a Brazilian? Q. How do you make your girlfriend scream while having sex? A. Call her and tell her. Q. Why does Dr. Pepper come, in a bottle? A. Because his wife died. Q. 3 words to ruin a man's ego. A. Is it in? Q. What does a good bar and a good woman have in common? A. Liquor in the front and poker in the back. Q. What did the toaster say to the slice of bread? A. I want you inside me. Girl, hey, what's up? Boy, if I tell you, will you sit on it? Q. What's the difference between you and eggs? A. Eggs get laid and you don't. Q. What do you call mobile porn? A. Flash drive. Q. Why are pubic hairs so curly? A. So they don't poke out your eyes. Mom, if a boy touches your boobs say don't, and if he touches your pussy say stop. Girl, but mom, he touched both so I said don't stop. Q. How can you tell which is the head nurse? A. She's the one with the dirty knees. Have you noticed that more and more women are having their navels pierced? That's because it's a handy place to hang the air freshener. How do you make your girlfriend cry while having sex? Phone her. Bigamy is having one wife too many. Some say monogamy is the same. What do you call a woman with 2 brain cells? Pregnant. Scientists have discovered a certain food that diminishes a woman's sex drive by 90%. Wedding cake. What is the difference between erotic sex and kinky sex? During erotic sex you use a feather, during kinky sex you use the whole chicken. Q. Which sexual position produces the ugliest children? A. Ask your mother. Q. What's worse than getting fingered by Captain Hook? A. Getting raped by Jack the Ripper. Q. What's a porn star's favorite drink? A. 7-Up and cider. Boy, want to hear a joke about my dick? Never mind, it's too long. Girl, wanna hear a joke about my pussy? Never mind, you won't get it. What's the difference between oral sex and anal sex? Oral sex makes your day, anal sex makes your whole week. Q. How do you properly fuck a fat woman? A. Roll her around in flour and find the wet spot. What's the difference between a roast beef sandwich and a blowjob? I don't know. What? You don't know? So do you wanna do lunch tomorrow? What does it mean when a man is in your bed gasping for breath and calling your name? You didn't hold the pillow down long enough. What do you call the useless piece of skin on a penis? The man. Q. What do you call a virgin on a waterbed? A. A cherry float. Q. What does fucking a woman and cooking an egg in the microwave have in common? A. Both end with a loud, annoying sound and a gooey mess to clean up. Q. Why do walruses go to Tupperware parties? A. To find a tight seal. Q. What's the difference between light and hard? A. You can sleep with a light on. Q. What did Boy George say to Michael Jackson? A. You beat it, and I'll come. Q. Why do Jewish men like to watch porno movies backwards? A. They like the part where the prostitute gives the money back. Q. Why do men like big tits and a tight ass? A. Because they've got big mouths and little dicks. Q. What's 72? A. 69 with 3 people watching. Q. What's the worst thing about dating a blonde? A. If you don't know what hole to put it in, neither do they. Q. What's the difference between a babies and musician groupies? A. The babies suck fingers. Q. How do mermaids reproduce? A. Semen. Q. Why is fresh air a lot like sex? A. Because it's no big deal unless you're not getting any. Why do men have a hole in their penis? So their brains can get some oxygen now and then. Q. Why did God give woman 2 sets of lips? A. So they can piss and moan at the same time. Q. What are 3 words you dread the most while making love? A. Honey, I'm home. Q. How could the redneck mom tell that her daughter was on her period? A. She could taste the blood on her son's dick. Q. How is sex like air? A. It's no big thing unless you aren't getting any. Q. What do you call 2 nuns and a blonde? A. 2 tight ends and a wide receiver. Q. Did you hear about the man who was arrested for having sex with a horse? A. In his defense he claimed it was a stable relationship. Q. What can a girl put behind her ears to make her sexy? A. Her knees. Q. What's a man's definition of a romantic evening? A. Sex. Q. What does the sign on the whorehouse say, after they have closed for the day? A. We're closed, beat it. Q. Why is sex like riding a bike? A. You can do it by yourself, but it's usually not as much fun. Q. What do tofu and a dildo have in common? A. They are both meat substitutes. Q. What is the difference between a sin and shame? A. It's a sin to stick it in and a shame to take it out. Q. What does a dwarf get if he runs through a woman's legs? A. A clit around the ear and a flap across the face. Q. What is hard and pink when it goes in and soft and wet when it comes out? A. Bubblegum, you dirty-minded pervert. Q. What do a good employee and a lousy lover have in common? A. They're always coming early. Q. What's the smallest hotel in the world? A. A pussy, because you have to leave the bags outside. Q. Why do men pay more for car insurance? A. Women don't get blowjobs while they're driving. Q. What is the leading cause in death with lesbians? A. Hairballs. Q. What's the difference between a redneck and poor white trash? A. A redneck will knock his sister up, poor white trash will marry her. Q. What do you call a Muslim stripper? A. You seen Memuf. Q. What do you get when you cross a rooster with a telephone pole? A. A 10-foot cock that wants to touch someone. Q. Which of the following words does not belong? Meat, eggs, wife, blowjob. A. Blowjob. You can beat your meat, eggs, and wife, but you can't beat a blowjob. Q. What do you call a whore with her own car? A. Feels on wheels. Q. What do you do with a year's worth of used condoms? A. Melt them, turn them into tire and call it a good year. Q. What did the cannibal do after he dumped his girlfriend? A. He wiped his ass. Q. Did you hear about the spread that lost its virginity? A. It got marmalade. Q. Why is sex like a game of bridge? A. You either need a good partner or a good hand. A man goes to the doctor suffering from premature ejaculation. Can you do anything to help me, doc? said the man. No, but I can give you the address of a woman who has a short attention span, replied the doctor. Q. What is the difference between women and a washing machine? A. The washing machine doesn't follow you around for 2 weeks after you put a load into it. Q. Why does it take 100 million sperm to fertilize an egg? A. Because not one will stop and ask for directions. If you force sex on a prostitute, is it rape or shoplifting? You choose. Q. What did the left nut say to the right nut? A. Don't talk to the guy in the middle, he's a dick. Q. Why is sex like riding a bike? A. You have to keep pumping if you want to get anywhere. Q. What do blondes say after sex? A. Thanks, guys. Q. What do you get when you cross a potato with corn? A. Porn. Q. How can you tell if your wife is dead? A. The sex is the same but the dishes pile up. Q. What's the difference between being hungry and horny? A. Where you put the cucumber. Q. Why don't they teach driver's ed and sex education on the same day in the Middle East? A. They don't want to wear out the camel. Q. What do you call two jalapenos having sex? A. Fucking hot. Q. What is the difference between anal sex and a microwave? A. A microwave doesn't brown your meat. Q. What do you call it when a guy comes in his hands, then claps? A. A baby shower. Q. What comes after 69? A. Mouthwash. Q. How do you have sex with a camel? A. One hump at a time. Q. What do you call it when a boy and girl make love for the first time? A. Coming of age. Q. What's the difference between you and a nail? A. A nail gets hammered all the time but you don't. Q. What's a burnt pizza, frozen beer and a pregnant girl have in common? A. In each scenario there was a dumbass who didn't take it out in time. Q. How can you tell if your husband is dead? A. The sex is the same but you get to use the remote. Q. Why do blondes not use vibrators for anal? A. They don't want to get a headache. Q. Why was the snowman so horny? A. Because he saw a plow truck. Q. What is similarity between woman and mobile? A. They both are charged at night. Q. What did the banana say to the vibrator? A. Why are you laughing? I'm the one going to be eaten. A pervert walks over to this sorority girl, he said bend over and spell. Run. So she bent over, next thing she knew there was a sharp pain, she said RUN. The perverted guy said as far as I can go. A dad tell his son stop masturbating. If you do it too long you will go blind. The son replied, Dad, I'm over here. Did you hear about that kid that had sex with his teacher? Yeah, he recently died from high-fiving. 3 people having sex is a threesome. 2 people doing it is called a twosome. So why is handsome a compliment? Mouse, how do you fuck the computer? Keyboard, you just open legs and insert disk. Girl, do you remember the first time you had sex? Boy, sure I do, man was I scared, I was all alone. One-liners. Boy sees his mom and dad having sex. Dad says we're making Yui. Brother boy replies do her doggy style, I rather have a puppy. A penis is the lightest thing in the world. Even a thought can raise it. A chicken is the result of a sitting hen, while a baby is the result of a standing cock. Men are like cement. After getting laid, they take a long time to get hard. Women might be able to fake orgasms. But men can fake a whole relationship. Men screw with dicks. Women screw with minds. Don't have phone sex. You might get hearing aids. Karma is like 69. You get what you give. Behind every successful woman, there is a satisfied man. But behind a satisfied woman, there is an exhausted man. Marry and make a woman happy, or remain a bachelor and make several women happy. A boy goes to a strip club. His mom gets angry. Did you see anything there that you were not supposed to see? Boy: yes, I saw, dad. Sex is like the army, the closer you are to discharge, the better you feel. My wife is so kinky. When she was born, the doctor slapped her bottom to make her cry, and she said, "Don't forget to pull my hair." I accidentally swallowed some whiteout last night. Woke up with a massive correction. I don't have a dirty mind, I have a sexy imagination. Wanna know what slut stands for? Sexy, large, unforgettable, tits. Ever since my girlfriend got pregnant, a lot has changed in my life. Like my name, address and telephone number. You think 7 years for a mirror is bad? Try breaking a condom. When life gets tough, remember, you were the strongest sperm. A guy goes to the store to buy condoms. Do you want a bag? The cashier asks. No, the guy says, she's not that ugly. Women say us men only think with our penis. Ladies, don't be afraid to blow our minds. I was in math class and my teacher asked what comes after 69. Apparently I do is not the correct answer. Dear young girls losing their virginity, if your age is on the clock, you're too young for the cock. Sex, drugs, rock and roll, speed, weed, and birth control. Life's a bitch. And then you die, so fuck the world and let's get high. Normal chickens say cock-a-doodle-doo. Wade chickens say doodle cock-a-doo. A slutty chicken says any cock will do. It would be a lot easier to be a hard worker if my company didn't block access to porn sites on the internet. Nursing school. A woman enrolled in nursing school is attending an anatomy class. The subject of the day is involuntary muscles. The instructor, hoping to perk up the students a bit, asks the woman if she knows what her asshole does during an orgasm. Sure. She says, he's at home taking care of the kids. Little sister. A man and his wife were having sex one night in their bedroom. Their little boy opens the door and says, "Daddy, what are you doing to mama?" Then the daddy says, "Making you a little sister." And then the boy replies, "Hell no, do it doggy style, I want a puppy." Like the movies. A guy with a black eye walks into a bar and orders a triple bourbon. The bartender says, "Having a tough day, hey?" The guy says, "Yeah. My wife and I were doing the dishes and she turned to me and said, 'Why don't we ever make love like in the movies?' So I bent her over the kitchen table, yanked her pants down and rammed it in. I jackhammered her and slapped her on the ass as I pummeled her. Then I pulled it out, turned her around and blew my load all over her face." The bartender said, "Wow. But what's up with the black eye? Turns out we watch different movies." Doctor's office. There was a girl that came into the doctor's office. Then, awed by her beauty, all his professionalism goes right out the window. He tells her to take her pants off, then he starts to rub her thighs. He asked her, "Do you know what I am doing?" She replied, "Yes, you're checking for ABN abilities." Then he tell her to take off her bra and shirt and he rubs her boobs and asks her, "Do you know what I am doing?" She says, "Yes, checking for cancer." Then he takes off her panties and starts having sex with her. Then he asks, "Do you know what I am doing?" She said, "Yep, getting HIV, that's why I came here." Who enjoys sex more? A man and a woman were having drinks at a business conference when they got into an argument about who enjoyed sex more. The man said, "Men obviously enjoy sex more than women. Why do you think? We're so obsessed with getting laid." "That doesn't prove anything," the woman countered. "Think about this. When your ear itches and you put your finger in it and wiggle it around. Then pull it out, which feels better, your ear or your finger?" Nude beach. Two parents take their son on a vacation to a nude beach. The father goes for a walk on the beach and the son goes and plays in the water. The son comes running up to his mom and says, "Mommy, I saw ladies with boobies a lot bigger than yours." The mom says, "The bigger they are, the dumber they are." So he goes back to play. Several minutes later he comes running back and says, "Mommy, I saw men with dingers a lot bigger than daddy's." They. Mom says, "The bigger they are, the dumber they are." So he goes back to play. Several minutes later he comes running back and says, "Mommy, I just saw Daddy talking to the dumbest lady I ever saw." And the more he talked, the dumber and dumber he got. Mirror, mirror. A young woman buys a mirror at an antique shop from a gypsy, and hangs it on her bathroom door. One evening, while getting undressed, she playfully says, "Mirror, mirror, on my door, make my bust line 44. Instantly, there is a brilliant flash of light, and her breasts grow to enormous proportions. Excitedly, she runs to tell her husband what happened, and in minutes they both return. This time the husband crosses his fingers and says, "Mirror, mirror on the door, make my penis touch the floor." Again, there's a bright flash and his legs fall off. Car salesman. Two car salesmen were sitting at the bar. One complained to the other, "Boy, this economy sucks. If I don't sell more cars this month, I'm going to lose my fucking ass." Too late, he noticed a beautiful blonde, sitting 2 stools away. Immediately, he offered apologies for his use of bad language. "That's okay," the blonde replied, "I have a very similar problem. If I don't sell more ass this month, I'm going to lose my fucking car." Railroad. A man is telling his friend of a recent experience. "I was walking along beside the railway line," he says, "when I saw this girl tied to the tracks. Well, naturally I freed her, pulled her off the tracks and ended up having sex with her all night." "Did you get a blowjob?" asks his friend. "No," he says, "I never did find the head." Salesman. A salesman go out of town for business. After a couple of weeks he comes home and tells his wife about it. "Guess what, dear, I earned $4,000 by selling 50 mattresses and 30 pairs of panties." The wife replies, "Really? Well, with just one mattress and no panties I earned twice as much." Rear-ended. "I go to this job interview. My back is killing me." The employer asks what happened. "I said I got rear-ended." She says, "That is terrible. You look okay. Is the car all right?" "I say there was no car accident." "Give me one." This guy is married and his wife knows he is a bit of a cranky pants. They go out together on a night out. They go to the restaurant and order a nice meal. Midway through he calls the waiter and says, "Is there any such thing as a decent glass of wine to go with this dinner? If so, give me one." Then they go to a pub where he calls to the barman, "Is there any such thing as pints of beer here? If so, give me one." On the way home they stop at a takeaway where he says, "Is there any such thing as a burger here? If so, give me one." They go home and then go to bed and the man says, "Is there any such thing as sex here?" His wife says, "It depends." The man says, "What do you mean by that?" And his wife responds, "Is there any such thing as an orgasm here? If so, give me one." Giggling boy. A boy comes downstairs for breakfast and asks his grandma, "Has my mom and dad come downstairs yet?" The grandma says no. The boy giggles and goes outside to play. He came back in for lunch and asked again. The grandma says no. He giggles and goes outside to play. He later comes in for dinner and asks once again, "Have my mom and dad come downstairs yet?" She says no. He giggles. Finale, she asks him why he keeps giggling when he asks that. The boy said, "Last night Dad asked me for the lubricant, but instead I gave him super glue."